Hello, Tamily. It's time for interview 141 with Sherry as our guest today. She will be joining us in just a second. And of course, we have some questions planned for her, but the most fun is when you type questions into the chat. So you can do that while we get connected. Okay. And we should be connected in 1 second. Hi, Sherry. How are you?
Wonderful. How are you, Suzanne?
Good. Thank
It's
you
nice
so
to meet
much.
you.
It's very exciting for you to be our 141st Ask Tamily interview.
Yeah, baby. I'm excited.
A lot of the Tamily is excited too because there are already a lot of people joining. Maybe this is a good time or something.
Maybe, yeah.
So that'll be great. So we'll start with some of our planned questions and then we'll look through the chat and ask you anything there as well.
All righty.
So let's start with our favorite question, which is when and how did you start with the Tracy Anderson method?
Okay. Well, in 2015, I had a herniated disc in my back and I couldn't move. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up or sit down or anything. And so while I was laid up, I went to the library and said, I'm going to watch every fitness video until I figure out how to never have this again. And I came across Tracy's original mat DVD, and I kind of systematically worked through. I mean, I was curious because, you know, she trained Madonna and, you know, all that. So it was immediately apparent to me that this was going to help. So, I mean, once I healed from that enough, the mat was way too hard for the level of fitness I was at. So I went to the beginner method and then the mat for beginners and worked my way through that. And I didn't know about the Tamily at all at that point. So I did each workout like 30 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, you know, but and then I went on to Metamorphosis.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you complete all of Metamorphosis like in a row?
I did continuity until halfway through year 4.
Oh, wow.
I know. Yeah.
So when did you find out about the Tamily in the
so like the Facebook page, I would see things like I didn't really even know Instagram. So I would see people saying hashtag this, hashtag that. And so I was like, oh, what is this? So I started looking and I was just like, oh my God, it was my favorite thing to do every day was to watch people doing TAM. Yeah. So I knew about streaming, but you know, I just wasn't there yet. I knew I had a long way to go before I could join. At that time, all they had was the advanced class. So.
Right. So you went through halfway through year 4 of continuity and then switched to streaming?
Yeah, you know, year 4 is serious. I mean, you got the weights on all kinds of spots.
Right,
you got the
to yourself.
and the ball and the band, and it's a big cluster. So yeah, I kept getting little injuries, and they were just enough to make it be like, ooh. And finally, after the last time, I said, okay. I took a step back, and at that point, I really wanted to complete. It was kind of like that mountain I just had to climb. I was going to do it, but I just decided, hey, actually, it was Miriam Tamily said, why would you put yourself through this? Go to streaming. It's so much better. So I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Better meaning like no paraphernalia.
Not to that degree. I mean, the paraphernalia, it was kind of like a graduation, like, you know, matriculation from now you've reached the ball. Now you're at the band. And so it was kind of like a progression, but the excitement of the new toy only lasted a few seconds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I probably didn't do more than one workout of any segment of continuity. Luckily, there was streaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at this point, what is your routine like around the streaming workout? Which one do you do?
I do IMC. Some ladies were able to go through continuity and say that Attain was easy. That's not me. Yeah. So I pretty much stuck with IMC. I go to beginners sometimes just to mix it up. Instead of taking like a rest day, I'll do start or do a rest day and start depending on how I'm feeling. But mostly it's the first thing I do every day. After drinking coffee, I try to get started. So
you and I are on the same exact TAM plan.
yeah, IMC. Hey, it's a great. I mean, there are times IMC is hard.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's a good workout. Start is sometimes too, though. Like
sometimes I'm more sore from start than I am anything else.
Yeah. So for you, from throughout your journey, what kind of results have you seen, especially compared to before you started the method?
So back in like 2010, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And I was in a lot of pain and all the stuff that goes with it, fatigue and digestion issues, all of this stuff. And one of the things they told me could help was going and working out and doing some cardio. So I had already been doing cardio, but that like gym cardio was so different. Like it only really helped for a few hours. And then around noon, I'd start to feel achy and be ready for bed by like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something, So the biggest transformation is pretty early on when I decided, oh yeah, this is different. I'm going to do this. At first I was like, well, I'm only going to do it a couple times. She says to do it 4 to 7 times, but I'm just going to throw it in there here and there. And pretty soon I realized, wow, if I want to feel good, I need to do this. So the decrease in pain was huge.
Yeah.
Along with pain, I also have PTSD. So I was kind of stuck in like flashbacks because of the pain. So I'd like be bombarded constantly by PTSD symptoms. And that was another thing that Tracy, I noticed right away, was like, wow, I don't have the stress, the post-traumatic stress interfering with my life as much. So that was really motivating.
Yeah.
Now on the physical side, I didn't actually I'd see little changes every month but it was year 2 and 3 months that my body really started to change. And then I was like, oh, look at that. I had the little ab lines and
amazing.
Right. And then that was when I kind of started to lose weight. And then it wasn't until I really figured out my diet that the weight came off. But I've only lost like 20 pounds total. But I've gone from like a size 20 to like a size 12. So, I mean.
Yeah, it's really like just the difference in your body shape and everything and the muscular structure versus like number of pounds sometimes.
Right. Yeah. Pounds are, it's kind of, like she says, it's kind of good feedback to know where you're at with what you're eating, how it's affecting you. But
so Deb, or Tam Menopausal, would like to know if you missed the props from continuity.
No. No, Deb, I don't. I have nightmares about some of them.
Especially the band. I forgot the band even existed. That's the worst one ever.
No. The stick is the worst one. Stick is by far worse than the band. And then she brought my nightmare back a few weeks ago with the ball. I'm like, oh, I didn't care for the ball either. So.
Well, and for a second, I'm like, oh, that seems interesting. Let me try that. And then I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah, wait till you do some balance moves on it.
Oh
my God.
It's crazy. Well, we're all very thankful for streaming and very respectful of those who can handle all those props for all of continuity.
you know, one thing about continuity is there's no doubt what contraction she's going for. Like in streaming, you kind of have to learn
right
where the movement is supposed to be by, you know, doing it in repetition.
Yeah.
In continuity, you either got it or you don't. There's no gray area. So
that's,
I mean,
a
that's
really point
helpful.
About that. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So who in the Tamily inspires you?
Oh my gosh. I am inspired by so many people in the Tamily. I think something very profound happens when a group of women come together and supports one another. And I mean, just the organic nature of what has happened with the Tamily is inspiring. When I was beginning, Danka was just, she was farther along. So it was like, oh my God, I'm going to do that. Oh my God. You know?
Yeah.
And then there were like Emily Hansen and Natalia. They were very kind and would always say something on my posts. And I would, like I said, I would watch Tamily members, you know, doing their workouts, and it was my favorite channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty much that's what I did. So yeah, like right now, I just love Just Johnny. He is,
oh gosh,
fabulous.
He is the best.
Sunshine. Yeah, he's the cutest. So,
yes.
But other people, you know, I really like how like people can share their successes. That inspires me. I love how people can share, you know, the not so pretty parts of whatever they're doing. I like people that are real. Also, I mean, there's the whole Tamily itself, and the fact that if she would have set out to create something like this, it would never be what it is. The fact that this happened on its own because of us is what's really exciting.
Yeah, and that it kind of stays that way, like it's ours, like, and not, you know, something that's like orchestrated or like, you know, it belongs to us, even though she participates to an extent. But we're the community,
right?
You know, keeping that connection going, it really is amazing. It's the most amazing community to me I could ever imagine.
Agreed. Just the positivity too. It's, you know, I did yoga in my 20s, and you know, the practice of trying to put out into the world that which you wish to receive. I feel like everybody in the Tamily is just like a demonstration of that, putting out positivity and support and love to uplift one another. I love that. Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes the communities that are created for that purpose actually don't do it.
Totally.
But
totally.
This community does.
Well, and I think it's because this is a solo journey mostly. I mean, we get to connect for however long each day we all have to get on and post and chat and comment. So it's not the same as, okay, every Sunday from 9 to 11, we're gonna commune, you know? It's true. All kind of independent, but yet connected.
Yeah. That's another reason that makes it so amazing. So do you have any workout partners?
Yeah, I have. So pretty much before this, I was on my own. You know, I got my best friend, you know, involved in this. So we would talk. She's doing continuity still. So like we would talk about it and kind of, oh God, this is the move I was doing. Oh yeah, I remember that. But once the pandemic hit and Michelle just put it out there one time, hi Michelle, that anybody want to do this? And it was Michelle and Beth and I for, gosh, several weeks, I think. Just the three of us getting up every morning. I mean, for me, that was like 2 hours earlier than I normally worked out. But I was like, yeah, okay, why not? I want to get up earlier anyway. So, and then other people would join, like Susan and, gosh, I can't remember who else came, but there were other people.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and now there's Zooms going on like every hour.
Almost, yeah.
the day.
I don't think that's going to change. I think people
Yeah.
really like that connection. I mean, it kind of gives more of like the gym feel, where you get 10 minutes to chat it up with a friend, and then you get to it, and then you say, see ya, have a good day.
Yeah, yeah, it really does provide that ability, but you don't have to actually meet someone, and you've got, thousands of people to possibly do that with. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just finding the right time for everything.
yeah,
Lately, like ever since the time change, 7 o'clock just is too early for me right now. So I'm working my way there. I hope at some point I'll make it.
Yeah. I switched to AM workouts during the pandemic also.
I saw you were a diehard night.
They're so hard.
I bet. Yeah.
It's still so hard. It's been like, I don't know, 10 months. It's still difficult, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't you feel like a winner though? Like you
yes.
get it done first thing. I won the day. I did it.
Yes. That is reason enough to do it. Like, even
if you're still asleep, you like wake up before it's over.
Right. Yeah. If you start moving your arms above your head, you're going to wake up.
That's right. And even if you're not, like I find that later in the day, my workout tends to be a lot better performance wise. But later in the day is always a gamble on whether it's going to happen or not.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Everything,
Yeah.
Things happen.
Exactly. But if you always do it first, that's going to be the thing that happens.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
So how do you get and stay motivated to work out regularly, especially knowing that you were motivated during continuity for so long, because that can be so difficult?
Yeah. It's easy for me. If I want to feel good, I do TAM. I mean, that's just what it is. If that wasn't the case, I don't know. I mean, it's so like when I was diagnosed, the options were drug therapy. That was it. So I just refused to accept that the only way I was going to live the rest of my life was by taking narcotics. So I have done everything I can to try to make that so that's not the reality. I went to physical therapy for a couple years. And towards as that was ending, where I was feeling pretty much done with that, that's when I discovered TAM, and I was like, I got it from here. So,
that's really the part of it that, I mean, obviously it probably applies to many other forms of exercise, but I feel like with the method, it's so much more that physical health, but also the mind-body connection helps you so much in like, psychologically and everything else.
The one piece that I think is missing in most other workouts is the connection with the mind. What really changed it for me is there was no way I could do a plank, arabesque, whatever, rollover and be thinking about my groceries or thinking about whatever else has to be done. It was right there in the moment. I had to be.
Yeah.
So that changes everything.
Yeah.
Because, like if you're doing 50 squats, how can you connect with that? You just are counting 1, 2, 3. And I don't think that's going to get you anywhere, which Tracy has said. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, and the being with yourself part and not being told what to do by another person and find on your own. Like,
yeah, I did something different. I did like a belly dancing workout, I don't know, a few months ago. And I was like, oh my God, stop talking.
Right.
Just move and I'll copy. Just stop.
Yeah. Once you're on this track, it's like, what is everyone else doing? Getting yelled at or like bossed around by someone during the workout.
Well, and then that was something like in the beginners workouts, she was like, look at you, you're doing it. Good job. Very encouraging. And you just danced for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So although like the best is when it was the mat, when she was saying, you're going to feel like your arms are getting tired, but you can do it. You can and you
Yeah.
must.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. So do you do dance cardio as well as the workout?
I have every intention of doing dance cardio. I really do. Every day, like not every day, but so I love to hike. So I walk a lot so that I'm always in hiking shape in case one finds its way to me and I can do it. And so I don't do dance cardio. I every winter I think, okay, I'm going to do it now. I see, especially now that there's so much inspiration about learning dances and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do it, and I'll do it twice. And
Yeah.
the weather, I mean, I live in Colorado, so you can go outside almost every day.
Yeah.
So, it's not too cold or too wet, or it's usually okay to go outside and walk.
Yeah.
I did the first in Meta. I did the first 90 days, and I actually gained weight. I know.
Okay.
Because it like spiked my hunger. I think I would have it like if I were to ever commit to that again, I think I would have a different experience because now I'm in shape and I wasn't really then. But yeah, I gained like 15 pounds.
Yeah, that's definitely a great point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and it's not for everyone, and you get to choose, you get to make your own TAM plan or whatever thing that you do. So
yeah.
That's good, but you're totally right about the hunger piece. That can be.
Well, when I cut DC out and I went back to walking, it just dropped away. No problem. So
Wow.
yeah, that was, but like I think Tracy had said something, most of us aren't going to get to the level of being able to perform a dance to make it worth the spike in hunger. And so I was like, oh yeah, okay, great. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But I would like to have skin tone. So that's always in my head.
I mean, the workouts are complete workouts, whether, you do the dance cardio or not. So.
Well, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm super sweaty when
Oh, totally.
I'm like, I get a cardio workout from Matt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I really love the ladies that can do dance cardio too, on top of it.
Right.
Wow. But the only time I've had success is if I do dance cardio first and then do muscle structure. Because when I'm done with muscle structure, I'm done.
Oh, absolutely. I'm the same exact way. These women that can do like all of Attain and then a whole catapult or whatever one is the harder one. Oh my gosh. That's some like serious athleticism. I am amazed by it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, they are the Olympians of the town.
Yeah. They are.
Yeah.
Completely. So if somebody was new to the method, what would be your advice to them?
I guess the advice I would have for somebody who's new is, consistency is the most important. So, try to show up every day for yourself. Don't get discouraged. It's just like learning a language. That analogy works really well. You don't start by learning French, knowing all of French. You have to get familiarized with just the basics in order to then have a conversation. So I think that would be, and the other thing would be to connect to the Tamily, because
for sure.
Yeah, they're so supportive and encouraging.
Yeah. Michelle has a question. She wants to know who you have met from the Tamily.
Ooh. I met Emily Hansen. I was visiting my dad a couple years ago, and I said, hey, I'm going to, Ponte Vedra. Anybody want to meet up? And she says, I'm going to Ponte Vedra for my new job. So, or she was like, just like 10 minutes away from my dad's house. So I got to meet her right before she started her job.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was fun. I still love old fashions because of her. And then Shannon Meyer. I think I said that right. Maybe it's Mayer. SB. Mayer. I don't know. She lives in Jamestown, which is just about a half an hour away, maybe 45 minutes. So we've met a couple times. And then I met Sintra. She's Sintra. She was house sitting and dog sitting for a friend of hers. And so we met in Old Town. And that's my kitty. Yeah. And then is there anybody else? Oh yeah, and I just met Alicia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix and I just met up with her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's so much fun to meet the Tamily because it's just like meeting a friend that you've always known. You just like the moment you start to see them, it's like the conversation doesn't stop and it's just I don't know, instant friends.
It is. It's amazing. We have a question in the chat of when is our meetup going to be in Colorado? So
yeah, when is it?
That would be a great place.
I will set you guys up. Yeah.
For sure. We need a Tamily meetup like every single week for a while to make up for all of this time.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Emily has a question also. She said, have your sons ever tammed with you?
I got my oldest to do arms with me once. And that was about it. No, they have not. I'm actually forbidden to speak of the Tamily in their presence.
Oh my gosh.
Because everybody, for a long time, everybody I would ask, they would see me and say, wow, you look fantastic. What are you doing? And they're doing, well, let me tell you about Tracy Anderson. You know? And so, yeah, Will said, no, mom. That's it.
Oh, that's
no
so
more.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. When people ask me, I'm always like, do you have a couple hours? Like, are you really serious? Because if you let me.
Where do I begin? Yes.
Right. What would be your advice to someone who's not new, but they just don't feel motivated right now to work out?
Well, I first would say, accept where you're at and see if there's anything you can do to help support yourself to do this. And then I would just say, commit to the 10 minutes of arms. There was a lot of time in Meta and continuity where I wasn't feeling great, but I was determined to just do arms at least. And I think there was only one time that I stopped after arms because it just, your body gets so used to that movement that it's just like, yeah, I want more. And then I would also say if you're coming off of an injury, I would say try to find a way to do the moves that they don't hurt because you can say, oh, I can't do this, it hurts my knee, or I can't do this, it hurts my back. But if you shift forward or you shift back or you go to the side or try to find a way to do it, and then maybe only do 8 and then go on to the next. Just, work your way through it till you figure out how to do it that it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah, that's such good advice. And that really is like what we're supposed to be learning ourselves and be able to figure out, not where you're doing something overboard, but you're doing like what's right for you, but also not just resting. Small injuries, and especially depending on where people are in their fitness level, can be really common. And the constant just advice of resting doesn't always, get you to where you want to be.
Well, and I think, I had problems with my wrists in Meta because I was powering through and it was like, oh, for some reason there was this block of I just kept powering through and my wrist would just keep hurting or whatever. And then all of a sudden it was like, can you do this without having your arms hurt? Can you do this? And once I figured out that trick, it was like, oh, almost always if a move is hurting me, I'm doing it wrong. And I tend to make things harder than they need to be. And so when I back off a little bit, I'm like, oh, look at that. Look, I just float right off the ground when I do it this way instead of muscling through it.
Right. That's so, so, so true. I find that so often on the first side of thinking it's so hard to lift my leg and do this. And then on the second side, just being set in a different way and clearing your mind a little bit and being like, oh, that wasn't as hard as I was making it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why is your workout personally so important to you?
You know, I kind of already said this, but like that time to connect to my body, I think because of PTSD and fibromyalgia, I had tried to disconnect from my body. And so I tried to live in my head. And so obviously you can't, you have a body, you have to live in it. So this is my time to really connect the two. And I'm so much better for it. When I was in my head all the time, this recycled repeat message, visions or whatever it was, just kept playing over and over. And like, it's really important to me. I know other people have come on here and said, I deliberately talk about this because of the stigma behind mental health. PTSD is something that it's honorable if you're a soldier. And if you have it for any other reason, it's kind of like, oh, taboo. We don't talk about that. And so I want to talk about it because, I've had it and it's horrible. I still have it, but I'm not affected by it, only very rarely. It has to be a pretty extreme stress before that kicks up. It used to be any little stress triggered PTSD stress.
Yeah.
So I think the stress of the workout, and not that it's stress, but the challenge of the workout has given me the tools to kind of get beyond that.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, really the mental health is wonderful, the physical benefits for me. And then it's just gravy that I look good. I mean, it's a bonus. Right. It's like, woohoo.
Right. Yeah. It's so funny that becomes like really a totally secondary aspect.
It really does. I mean, yes, I like my body the way I look now. Yeah. But if I felt like crap, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
So the fact that I feel really good mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and then also look really good. Right. That's, it goes together. I really think 20 years from now, everybody's going to be doing workouts like Tracy. I think that's going to be where this goes because, well, we all know why.
Right. And we'll be way ahead of the game and living past 100. So
speaking of that, a few years ago, I proposed this idea. So Tracy was talking about how we're all going to be perky 90-year-olds. So I think we need to plan 20, 30 years from now to have a meetup.
Oh my gosh, we do.
Just to say, are we all perky?
Right.
Look what we can do. Can we still tan? Who's in? Who wants to do this?
Yeah. I don't know how we make sure that we can stay in contact, but hopefully Instagram.
Well, we just put it out there and then somehow it'll happen, right?
Right. We should pick a date and everything.
Exactly. Like a year and a date and
for sure.
We could do it. I don't know. That's kind of dumb. I was like, we could do it on Tracy's birthday, but
we could. Yeah. I don't think that's dumb at all. I'm a crazy Tam freak, so
you really are a part of the Tamily. You're one of me. That's great.
Right. I think probably everyone watching us is down for it too.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple more questions in the chat. Alicia would like to know if you can tell us more about how you changed your diet and how you eat now is different than it was before.
Yeah, that's really good. I think one of the hardest parts for people is there's so many options out there. There's so much information, and how do you know what's going to help you lose weight and stay healthy? And so I had to go about this as kind of a scientist because everybody had a different idea of what you were supposed to do. And I started eating for fibromyalgia. And I found like Dr. Furman. And his plan is where you eat 80% comes from whole-based plant foods, and then 20% is other, meats or eggs or dairy or whatever. And that's where I started. And I said, I'm going to try this for 30 days and see. So I did it for 30 days and I was like, there are improvements. So then I kind of kept going with that, and I saved that course, but I really didn't lose any weight or change that much. My son announced one day when he was like 15, he's like, okay, I'm a vegan.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, well, my meat eater, my, my
Uh-huh.
ribs and bacon. Okay, right. All right, let's do this. And I was really impressed by him. And after a month of him doing this, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I was a vegetarian in college, and it wasn't that, it was a little hard to remember, oh, you can't have dairy and you can't have, because that was different.
Yeah.
But I switched and became vegan, and it kind of eliminates a lot of troubled food.
Yeah.
Food that you want to eat a lot of. It's very addicting. So that kind of takes care of it. Now, just because I'm a vegan, I mean, you can eat potato chips and drink soda. I'm a whole foods, plant-based vegan.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
yeah. And it helps that my kids are on board with this and they want to do it.
Yeah, that's huge. That is really good when you can, especially as a family, like have similar nutrition objectives, but also to get the inspiration from them is so cute.
What I like too is my youngest loves to cook. So yeah,
that's awesome.
He has, I love to cook also. So it really complements one another.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That is really something, besides the workout, like it's great if you can connect with family with the workout, but certainly with nutrition is important.
Yeah, and I think the keto diet is kind of popular, and then there are other plans, and I just think you gotta try it for 30 days and then ask yourself, am I closer to my goals or same place? Or you really have to, instead of just saying, okay, I'm gonna do this now and kind of hold the course, because like for me, a keto diet would be horrible if I were to follow that.
Right.
So I think
and it's such a personal decision, and you really have to try it out to figure it out. But most of the time people don't do something for 30 days. So
true.
If you put that out there, it might help you to.
I ate a salad for dinner. Am I 20 pounds less yet? We want that immediate. Yeah. Definitely. Which is another thing I tried too. Like I go in spurts, especially in the summer, where I will do long periods of time where I'm like raw vegan, and I have these great big bowls of salad and fruit and all of it mixed together, and then I just I literally eat for 45 minutes to an hour. And then my skin glows, and I really feel great when I do that. Yeah. But when it's cold, it's kind of hard to do that. I like to have hot food.
Right. Yeah, that definitely does make a difference. Renee would like to know if you have a go-to vegan recipe that your family loves.
Yes, we do. So lentils have been my favorite food since I was in my 20s. In college, they're like 99 cents a bag, and that would last for months. So lentils is my favorite food. I mean, anything made with lentils is great, but there are so many variations of a lentil loaf. So those are a little bit more challenging for somebody that just wants to begin with vegan. Lentils, well, first you do the walnuts. You put walnuts in your food processor or cut them up, and then mix in the lentils, and then taco seasoning, and you've got vegan tacos.
Yeah.
Taco meat, and it looks like meat, and it tastes like meat. Well, I think it does. I mean, someone who eats meat would probably say different, but it passes very well for taco seasoning. Taco beef.
So. Wow, that does sound good.
Yeah, and it's crunchy, so it's got a little texture. Lentil loaf. I also put walnuts in my lentil loaf, so it's got the same little bit of crunch. It's a little more exciting than just. It can kind of be mushy sometimes if you don't. It's different every time you make it, depending on what you add.
Renee just said that's literally what she's currently making.
Really? Awesome.
That is crazy.
Way to go, Renee.
Oh, that's funny. Beth would like to know if you can tell us about your walking buddy.
Oh, I love her. She's 90 years old. She's going to be 91 in August.
Aw.
I met her. So, okay, so I've lived in the same neighborhood for, gosh, 20 some years, 25 years. And I've always walked, even like this was before. And, you know, she lived about 6 blocks away, but every once in a while we'd cross paths and say hi, whatever. And then when I met my husband, I moved 6 blocks and I was on the same street as her.
Oh.
And so I would see her and we would wave. And when I was going to the gym, just recovering, she would be leaving. So I would see her in passing and we'd say hi. And then I'd see her walking past. And one day I just said, hey, if you ever want to walk, I love going up to Majestic View, which is uphill. Kind of, it's 2.5 miles from where we were at. If you ever want to go, let me know. And she's like, yeah. So we just started walking and that's how it began. And, you know, she's a kindred spirit. I can, you know, there's nothing, like she would say, there's nothing remarkable about me. But in my opinion, it has taken away the fear of aging. Because so many of our family members have aged and been in a nursing home or aged and had to have been very ill and all these problems and had a very small limiting quality of life. And then to see her, I mean, she rides her bike to the library and then will mow the yard with her push lawnmower and then go for a walk with me.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And one of the things she said, like, the best present anybody can give me is a walk. So, I mean,
wow. That's so inspiring.
It is. Yeah. She cracks me up too. She's got some, you know, just very dry, fun humor.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is really cool. That's a fantastic connection outside of the Tamily.
Yeah. I was really hoping I could get her to do Tamily. I'm like, oh, Tracy would definitely take notice of this.
Oh, totally.
But she's not. She doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Even though I'm sure you talked to her about it.
Oh, yeah. I talked to her. Yeah, I do. Everybody knows that I do Tracy.
Well, sometimes it's like after a really long time, then someone will finally say, well, can you tell me a little more about the method?
Yeah. Well, I was wanting her to just try the arms, you know. Like,
yeah.
But if I did, like, I know she wouldn't let me film it, so.
Well, that's a whole different level of
it is. Well, but it is kind of odd that we're all so acclimated to filming ourselves every day doing the workout. So
it happens quickly though. Like people think they would never do that.
I would.
And when you flip that switch, yeah.
My dog is saying, "What are you doing?"
Beth would like to know if you have always lived in Colorado.
Pretty much, yeah. I was born in Rockford, Illinois, and I transplanted here when I was 4.
Oh, wow.
So with the exception of in college, I studied in Spain. And other than that, I've been here.
Now, Deb and Beth are both interested in knowing about you being a pilot.
Oh, well, now you ruined it. I was going to be one of my truths. Yeah. So I grew up around guys, kind of like 2 of my really good friends were guys. We walked to the bus stop together, and bragging rights was really important when you were 16, 17, 18. And so I beat them all and became a pilot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. I had always wanted to fly. It was something that I really connected with. And so when I had worked from the time I was 14 to the time I was 18 and saved up enough money and was able to become a pilot. And then because I was a young girl, cute, I had a lot of flight instructors that wanted to go on cross-country flights with me. So I flew to Phoenix from Jeffco Airport, which is now Rocky Mountain Airport, and then to Phoenix and to Las Vegas when I was 20. So even though I was 20, I still gambled. I didn't win, but I gambled. And then we went to Nassau. We flew on spring break one year. We flew from Jeffco to the Bahamas.
Oh my gosh.
And, you know, it's a single engine plane, so you go about the speed of a car, a little faster eastbound because of the tailwind, and then significantly slower on the way back. But it was 7 days of traveling and 3 days there. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it was nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No one ever would have, well, maybe some people who already knew that would think that was true, but I wouldn't have thought that was true.
I know.
That is amazing.
A few people know, but yeah. The reality was I had started college, and the college I went to had a professional pilot's major, and I was enrolled in that. And after flying to the Bahamas, and I had been in the program for a while, I realized, wow, I'm just not one of these people. They were kind of like gearheads, but pilots. So like, I personally don't give a shit about the systems and propulsions of a 747. I just want to fly it, you know?
Yeah.
That's all I care about. So
yeah,
it just wasn't for me. And then I had to come up with something else. So.
But definitely still a super cool thing to have done. That is so awesome.
It has stood the test of time with bragging rights, I will say. I think it'll carry me through my life, getting that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we've asked everything in the chat. Let me see what other questions that I haven't asked you yet. What is something that you have learned from Tracy?
Well, I mean, I think I've touched on that a lot, but I really like her, you are how you move. You know, it's true if we are, I just, yeah. If we just sit on the couch all day, we're going to look like we sit on the couch all day, you know? But I also,
you're like mental and spiritual and other selves too. Like, so.
Right. You know, I think it was in her teen book. I don't know. I know some of you have read it, but like she, you know, talks about how important it is, you know, connecting with yourself in different ways. And that really resonates with me as well. And then also, the best advice was stop making it an option to not work out. Work out just like you brush your teeth. Just do it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
You wouldn't skip brushing your teeth day after day after day.
Yes.
So, you know, but I'll say when I really became, like this became a real habit for me, working out every day, and I was really into it. If I would get sick or whatever, be traveling, if I would go more than a day and not working out, I would start to get a panicky feeling like I was going to go back and become bedridden or couch ridden again. I was so afraid of that. So I would like be, oh no, I hope this isn't the beginning of the end. I really want to keep working out.
Right.
So, and I would work out even when I was sick, because I needed that. Because then after that, like sometimes it really made me feel better, so that after I did my workout, then I could lay on the couch in peace and be like, oh, okay, go ahead, binge TV away.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So Christy, I think, is asking if you ever still do yoga.
Yeah, I do occasionally. Recently, I lost a mentor, friend, yoga teacher, and in his honor, I did yoga. But it's not, it just doesn't have what I need. You know, my mind can drift doing yoga. You know, it's at one time it used to be very grounding and balancing, but I think it lost me when, you know, I had kids and my mind was already so distracted by the mental load of trying to keep everything that you have to do. You have to, you know, remember soccer practices and toilet paper and who's got to be where when, and then on top of that, everything else of the house. So it really lost me as far as being able to focus and stay grounded. Whereas Tracy is very engaging, like we've already always talked about. Right. I do stretch and I love the foam roller. So whatever the problem, the foam roller is the answer.
Yes.
I use that regularly. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Foam rolling is fantastic.
Yes. I mean, if you've got, like right now, my calves are sore. I'm not sure which move that was from. I think it's from the lunge to the side where you turn your foot out a little.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking that must be it because those I'll be foam rolling tonight to work those out.
Yeah, I was my calves are hurting too. I was thinking that same thing.
Yeah, I'm not. It's got to be that, right? I don't know. I don't know what other move would be.
So Small Talk Tamily, I don't know what her real name is, and she always asks questions, and I just have to call her Small Talk. She said, "Why did you start the method?" And I know that you had explained that, but if you maybe want to summarize for her.
Sure. You know, I was coming off of an injury. I had hurt my back, and I wanted to make sure I would never have this back injury again. And so I wanted to do anything I could to strengthen it so that I would never be laid up like that. And I found Tracy's mat DVD, the original. And even though my back was hurting, I got up in the arms and I did this. And she kept saying, "You can do this. I know it's getting tired, but you can." And I just said, can I? Let's see. And I did it. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And the difference was afterwards, it was sore, but it was different. I always had like this constant companion of muscle ache. It was kind of like from a muscle being in the flexed position constantly, it just gets exhausted and it never really relaxed. And something was really different. And I was like, oh. And so in that time, then it just opened Pandora's box to where I just started reading everything I could find about Tracy and looking at all of her DVDs. Which is one thing I would say to any beginner. My library has all of her DVDs except for Meta. So it's a wonderful place to try before you buy. And now some people are like, what's a DVD?
And what's a library?
Yeah. Totally. Oh, you mean the thing on the app, you know? Right.
Right. I would never have thought that Tracy's DVDs would be at the library. That's amazing.
Yeah, so they weren't all at my library, but the county, throughout the county, they had everyone, even Taval. So
That's
it was like
amazing.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more questions in the chat, and we are coming up on our last few minutes. But Renee wants to know, what changes or progress have you seen in your TAM journey since moving from continuity to streaming?
Great question, girl. So I was feeling, you know, pretty strong coming off of continuity. And I was like, yeah, I've got good results. This is pretty great. The difference between continuity and streaming, like, it's very clear to me that Tracy has improved. I know there's a lot of talk right now about going back to continuity and doing that instead of streaming because they're not liking the results. I have gotten amazing definition from doing the year of streaming, like more so than all of continuity. You know, my arms, my abs especially, legs, my legs have thinned down now. I would say if you're not getting the results that you like from doing streaming, drop down a level or two, go back to the basics, not back to Meta, although there's nothing wrong with it. It will get you good results. It's just a different trajectory. I think Tracy is much more efficient at like what she could do in continuity. You would have to do through like a whole month of, whereas she could do it in a week by getting,
Okay.
just by doing a little bit more of the complex movements. In continuity, it's very structured and kind of like contrived. And it's really only one contraction, whereas in streaming, you can maybe do 4 or 5 at one time.
Okay.
And I think the whole purpose of the method is the connecting multiple muscles so that they work in companionship together.
Yeah.
And I think that's much better in streaming. So some people had asked, have been talking on Facebook, especially about going back. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And
right.
Where you're at,
right. Yeah. And they're all great workouts.
It is. I've actually been curious. Like I've always thought if I went back to continuity, it would be a completely different experience because I have so many more muscles than I did. I probably didn't even know what I was doing for the first time. You know, I was like just kind of flipping my leg back and rolling around.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. It makes me want to go back and try just one.
Yeah. Well, if ever I have that need, then at least I have it. So
yeah. Deb has a good question as well. She says, what would you advise a newbie to do, meta and continuity, or to go straight to streaming?
I would stick with meta and continuity for a while. I would say the first 6 to 12 months, it really helps you get the language, and you get a little bit of instruction at the beginning. I mean, if your budget allows for it and you're not worried about $90 a month, then jump right in and you will get good results. If, however, it's a reach and $30 fits better, you are not going to go wrong with that.
Right.
It's a very good program, and it's going to teach you the basics of Tracy, you know, Tracy, the Tam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think like, you know, either which way, it's fine. Whatever works for people, but it does give you like building blocks, like you're building up. And especially, I don't know, for me, I wasn't doing anything physical really before Tam. And it seemed to help me in that way of like becoming an athlete and building each of the different parts instead of, I can't imagine like jumping into even really beginner with streaming is not easy.
You know, when I was in Arizona, I got my mom to try start. And, you know, the first thing she said when it was over, she goes, well, she is ridiculous if she thinks that's a beginning workout. She's sorely mistaken that's a beginning workout. And I was like, well, you know, and I tried it. I'm so proud of you. You did really good. And when I first did it, I couldn't even, you know, I think the method beginners is like 8 reps. Like, I couldn't even do 8 reps. It was like, what?
Yeah.
You want me to do what? And then the plank, it was like, oh God. It was so hard. And I mean, that's one of my favorite moves now, because it used to be so hard to just do a plank. And now I can do all kinds of planks. I can do a side plank with my arms and legs up. It's like,
it's amazing. It truly is. So we're coming up on our last minute in our interview. I think I did ask you all of our questions, but I'm not sure if you've thought of another truth. We did want to play 2 truths and a lie. Or we can do 1 truth and 1 lie if you want, and then we can guess what's true.
Okay. All right. Let's see. In my younger years, I hiked the Colorado Trail.
Okay.
That's 1.
Okay.
I once met John Denver.
Okay.
And I backpacked through Europe by myself.
Okay, so hiking the Colorado Trail, meeting John Denver, and backpacking in Europe by yourself. I definitely believe that you hiked the Colorado Trail.
Okay.
I think that you met John Denver. I don't know about backpacking in Europe by yourself. Is anyone in the chat going to guess? I don't know. You're a pilot, so you can do anything. So maybe you did backpack by yourself, but...
All right. Love in
I'm not sure who that
Their
is.
tummy, loving their tummy.
Yeah.
You are right. It's a lie. I
The
did not
backpack
hike the
is a lie.
Colorado Trail, but
Okay.
I'm going to.
If
This
you
summer, I'm going
hadn't
to
said
start.
the by yourself part, I would have really been stumped. Are you going to go backpacking in Europe by yourself?
I already did.
Ah!
Yeah. You know, in your 20s, people are flaky and you can't depend on anybody to do what they say they're going to do. And I just couldn't wait for a friend to go with me. So I just said, hey.
Oh my gosh.
Out. Yeah, it was the best experience in the world. It makes me want to always travel by myself. It's fun to travel with certain people too. But there's like a subculture in Europe, which if anybody's ever done it, they know. So I just go to a hostel and I had 20 friends. So, and then like, you know, in Paris, I met a couple people and we walked around Paris together. And then I went to Italy and same thing. And
Wow.
yeah. And then in Salzburg, Austria, the taxi driver became my tour guide. So
that's fantastic.
yeah.
Okay, so does that mean, did you hike the Colorado Trail?
No, but I'm going to. This summer,
did?
I'm going to start. Yeah.
Gosh. How long is it?
I'm not going to do the whole thing at once. It's like 360 miles.
Oh my God. Okay.
But it's broken up into like segments. So each segment, with the exception of like 3, can be done in a day if you hike fast. Okay. So like I can drop a car off at the end and have somebody drop me at the beginning, and then I can walk it in a day and then come home. And
okay.
I don't really like, I'm not confident enough in my abilities to through hike. And I really don't want to shit in the woods. Sorry, but you know, it's just totally not my thing. So yeah, and also I like a bed and a shower.
Yeah.
So, but segments I could do that. So that's something I want to do.
That would be very cool.
And then if I get really good at that, maybe I'll do those 3 legs that are like 30 miles.
Okay.
So there's like one from like Fairplay to Breckenridge that's a lot of elevation and it's 27 miles. So yeah.
That would be cool. Well, we'll expect an update about that, and also to know the date very far in the future that we're going to have a Tamily Meetup.
Nice. Yes. Tracy's birthday.
Yeah.
30 years from now? How old will I be? I'll be 78. I don't know, that might work. We may not have to wait until we're 90. When I first put this out there, they were like, well, some of us are a little older, so if you want people to show up, maybe we should go for 70 or 80 instead.
Right. That's a good
Anytime.
idea. Yeah.
But I think it would be good to pick a date and then just put it out there where we're going to meet and then show up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for this super fun interview, Sherry. It's been awesome getting to
I've enjoyed it too. Thank you. I'm so glad to meet you too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it wasn't at 5 a.m. my time, I would join you in the morning.
Yeah.
But if you ever do one later, I'll be there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Sherry, for joining us. Thanks for being interview 141.
Thank you.
And this interview right now is going to go onto the Ask Tamily page, and then we'll also put it on YouTube where it'll be forever.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sherry. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Tamily.
Bye.
Bye-bye.